All right, it's time for my weekly video. The week goes by fast. I am a busy lady. I am President Brent Spiner's wife and press secretary. And the press secretary job keeps me very busy. I'm also the vice president, but my husband Brent, I let him run the show. Unlike me, he does not allow his emotions to influence his judgment. He's very level-headed, and that's an area where he's strong and I can be weak. So I prefer to have him in the president job. A lot has been happening. Antichrist Lizzo has been keeping us very busy. I am going forward with Gail, the complete series. I am treating it like a nonfiction novel. I was having trouble getting into it before because I was having trouble figuring out what angle I needed to use to approach the story of my life, because so many things have happened to me. And there is such a huge cast of characters in my life. There's Vladimir Putin, there's Brent Spiner, Matthew McConaughey, Jesus Christ, now we've got Buddha, you name it. And just trying to write about everything. And Jesus is actually the one who gave me this assignment. And at first I was thinking, and he said that he did not want to be discussed. And I thought, how do I write a story about my life if I cannot discuss Jesus? But I figured out that I can. What I need to do is treat this a lot like a novel. And in a novel, you have point of view characters. So the point of view characters are going to be primarily me and Brent. And I'm going to be but if approaching this as a novel, I have decided that omniscient point of view is the best. It's going to be focused omniscience, which means, aren't these beautiful earrings Brent got me? I still wear them. They're the most, his jewelry looks so good on me. So it basically means that I'm using all these fancy writer terms. Omniscient, when you read a story, you're going to be experiencing it usually with professional writers, because they won't get published any other way, usually is through a point of view. Like, I can give, one of my favorites is The Thornbirds by Colleen McCullough. She wrote that in Omniscient. How omniscient means that in a certain scene, you can get in and out of a whole bunch of characters' heads if you want, okay? That's usually not recommended, even in Omniscient, though there are exceptions. The writing can be very complex, but usually the reader will identify more with what a character is going through if it's a focused point of view and you stay in one person's head through the whole scene, okay? And I'm going to be trying to do that. But the problem that I have, though, with that for my story is that, for instance, right now I'm writing the scene with Brent Spiner's rape. The problem that I have with that is that writing Laurie McBride, she's a very predictable villain, okay? I mean, the first scene where I wrote about her is good, okay? But the rape lasted for 3 weeks in September 1992. And she was constantly, and it took Brent, I think, almost a week before he figured out that she was using brain control drugs on him. So the first week, he's just in shock, like he can't believe that he somehow wakes up in bed with this strange woman next to him who's totally incompatible with who he is as a person. And he's thinking, why am I letting her into my rooms? So basically, I'm writing scenes like that right now. But now I'm getting ready to go into the second week of the rape. And at this point, he's figured out that he's under brain control drugs. And now it's starting to get, if I continue in that same vein, the scenes will be monotonous. I mean, there's no more surprise. We already figured out she's crazy, okay? We figured out she's crazy. Believe me, when you read this thing, you'll know. So I thought you're going to have to put something in here, another surprise to keep your readers engaged. I'm basically writing what I would like to read, so I will be introducing Brannon Braga into the next scenes. That'll be a surprise. Yeah, anyways, the point is, so what I did the past week, you said Brannon Braga, yeah, he was a top Jesuit agent at Paramount at the time that Laurie McBride was led into the studio, okay? Yeah, so yeah, I will be going into that. Yeah, he was carefully assigned as a producer and writer at Star Trek to assist the Jesuits to use Laurie McBride to get between me and Brent. And I will be, as a good writer, I don't want to show all the cards up front. I basically want you to experience my life as I went through it and how I was thinking and feeling at the time and how my men were thinking and feeling at the time that they went through whatever they went through. But, and that's good. The only problem is when what's happening becomes redundant, when it's like, okay, so he's getting raped again. Is this going to be the same thing that happened last week? You see, when you're writing a novel, okay, or even nonfiction memoir, the first time it's a surprise, it's interesting, okay? The second time, the reader interest is going to start going down. Violence and sex alone in a manuscript is not enough to keep reader interest. So that's one big problem of writing a true life story, is that, and so I was asking myself, do you want to play this whole thing out? Maybe you can just summarize what happened. I said, no, it's necessary for me to play this whole thing out, the whole 3 weeks, because Brent was basically, his whole life flipped over after that. So I have to play it out to show what happened to him that totally, and it played a major role in transforming him into a superhero. I already talked about Save the Cat institutionalized, but in order to understand why Brent became the superhero that he did, I do need to play out the whole 3 weeks. The challenge that I have with that 3-week rape is that I have to continue to bring something fresh in when I talk about how she kept on getting into his Paramount room and raping him. It gets old after a while. So, and I thought, and she actually did take different angles with the rape, but even so, she's actually, Laurie's on our side now, okay, but back then, she's what I call a flat character, flat meaning predictable. Everybody who's a professional in writing knows that sex and violence alone is not going to make your writing a winner, okay? The sex and violence has to either help you understand the character. When you write a scene with sex and violence in it, it's got to either help you understand the character better, like help illuminate the character, or it's got to further the plot, okay? If it's not doing one of those two things, then the writing's going to be a bore. You say, yep. It's kind of like the same thing. I mean, imagine watching a movie with one explosion after another through the whole movie, okay? The first scene, the explosion. Oh, wow. Okay, you got your interest. Second scene, same explosion. Third scene, explosion. You see what I'm talking about? Fourth scene, explosion. By the time you get to the fourth scene, the person's probably going to go, flip, change the channel. I've seen this before. You see what I'm talking about? So that's the problem I have with this 3-week rape scene. But I'm going to figure out a way to make this. What I'm going to do is each time. Now, what's interesting during the 3 weeks of rape, I actually do not enjoy writing rape, okay? That's one reason I kind of put off this writing my story, because Jesus insisted I do so. It's because I find excessive obsession with sex or violence a bore. I do. It's just not something that excites me. So that's why I kind of put this off. But then when my Gail shield got really weak, and I realized that Jesus is not happy that I'm neglecting his project, I thought, okay, Jesus, I got to find a way to so I can get into this, okay? And you say I can't discuss So I did come up with a way to make it interesting for me. I have to approach it like I did the writing of Silver Skies. And that one took me 3 years to write 150,000 words. And the way I did it was one day I would outline, and then the next day I usually worked on writing out the scene. And if I was in a particularly intense scene like the one I'm writing right now, it could take a while, because those are difficult to do well, especially if it's raw and hits a nerve with you. Because as a writer, especially of my own story, writing conflict, it kind of like, even though it's because I love Brent so much, it's difficult for me to write it. And yet I have to portray it accurately. I have to actually go in there and literally feel his pain to write the scene well. And it's kind of, that may be another reason I kind of put this project off. But I can also see how important it is to get our story out, because basically the Jesuits have taken over the narrative, okay? And as you all know, Fox News Lizzo basically has taken over Fox. And we already know she had CNN and MSNBC and all of them, okay? So the only accurate news source is Gabriel Chana Fox News 00 on cable, which, by the way, if you go to my website, if you live in an area where you cannot get 00 on cable, you can get Gabriel Chana Fox News at my website, gabrielchana.blog. Okay? Yeah, that's what I hear. Zach manages my site, though I'm able to go in there and post pages and stuff. Okay, but he manages a site, and he's actually kind of layered it so that, like, if you live in Alabama where I live, or you happen to live someplace that does not get 00 on cable, you can go to my website and watch Gabriel Chana Fox News. I'm not sure how I think it's in English. It's possible if it's in foreign countries it might have subtitles, I don't know. Or they might even have it in foreign language broadcasts. Gabriel Chana Fox News, from what I understand, is becoming really big right now. The public is getting fed up with mainstream news. We have tried to take over mainstream Fox, and it's kind of like we have good days and bad days with that. Lizzo apparently has her own Fox studio on her spaceship. But Tucker, I believe, is the CEO of Gabriel Chana Fox News. And what it appears he's been doing, Tucker Carlson, what it appears he's been doing is he has been taking snippets from his main Gabriel Chana Fox News broadcast, which is at least an hour long, and I believe he's the CEO too. So Tucker is very busy. You say, Gabriel Chana Fox News? Gabriel Chana Fox News is a professional newscast on 00 on cable, and is the only accurate newscast in the United States and possibly in the world right now. Yeah. Yeah, the Jesuit control over the news media is that bad, okay? She's been bombing the servers for my website and tried to take it down, because Lizzo is aware that people are watching Gabriel Chana Fox News from my website if they can't get 00 on cable. From what I understand, from what I've heard brain to brain, Tucker is the CEO of Gabriel Chana Fox News. I do know for a fact that he has at least an hour broadcast there, maybe more. So if you want to see him on a regular news channel, just go to 00 on cable, and you can watch Tucker Carlson there. It appears to me he's taking snippets from his main broadcast at Gabriel Chana Fox News and distilling them into shorts that he's posting at Twitter. That's what it looks like he's doing. The shorts appear to be condensed versions of what he is presenting, and kind of censored versions of what he's presenting at Gabriel Chana Fox News. Like, he's not going to be able to talk about me, which he does at Gabriel Chana Fox News. Tucker really likes me. He's my friend. And the reason he got fired at mainstream Fox is because he supports me. That was the reason. Everything else you hear is pretty much hogwash. Yeah, that's the real reason. When he went over to, he's now full-time at Gabriel Chana Fox News. When he went over to Gabriel Chana Fox News, a lot of the other broadcasters at mainstream Fox did not want to stay there anymore. I think like Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity. I had made a post about this. I'll have a link to it underneath this video. They went over to Gabriel Chana Fox News, and Lizzo has replaced them with clones. So if you go to mainstream Fox and some of the broadcasters you like don't seem quite right, that could be it. Some of the clone replacements haven't been working out too well, and I think the mainstream Fox has been forced to get rid of them for that reason. I'm forgetting the name, somebody on Fox Business that's migrated over to Gabriel Chana Fox. They just removed her show, and Lizzo's giving me amnesia, so I can't remember her name. But just check the post at my website. What I've been doing at my website is if I hear something important brain to brain that is being broadcast at Gabriel Chana Fox News, I will make a post about it. For instance, what's been happening to Trump lately, and the way that President Brent is going to respond to that. You can get that at Gabriel Chana Fox News, which is also at my website. And you can also check the posts that I've made at my website about that. Lizzo's behind all of the legal stuff going against Trump. You might say, why would she care about Trump if Brent is the president? She cares about Trump because she's trying to destroy my husband Brent's support base, okay? President Trump is in our cabinet. He is Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and boy, she's giving me amnesia. Her brain control's awful. Yeah, another thing that I talked about, if you'll notice the haze that's been over, he's Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and he has another position. Oh, we created the position called Secretary of Immigration and gave that to him, because we pretty much agree with his immigration policies. Our cabinet is a mix between Democrats and Republicans. I'll talk about it a little bit. Brent has pretty much kept the cabinet positions the way I had them. We have Bernie Sanders as Secretary of Health and Human Services. We have Rostislav Sabolka, who's a Democrat, in charge of the Small Business Administration. And we've got a mix. It's about 50-50 between Republicans and Democrats, and a lot of independents. We have Jesse Ventura in there. We got a Green. We have Libertarians. We got Rand Paul. Rand Paul is Secretary of State. We've got Stephanie Kelton, a Democrat, who's the head of our economic section. But then Ron Paul can also offer his input. And then, of course, my husband Brent makes the final decision. That's what I'm talking about. We've got Elon Musk is in our cabinet. We've got the Gab founder, Andrew Torba. He's sort of like in our cabinet. We've created our own bank to try to work around the Antichrist control over the banking system, so that people who've been unfairly deplatformed can have a bank with us. We found it necessary to make the presence of Gabriel Chana Fox News a little stronger, simply because people are just they're getting fake news everywhere else. It's fake news, even now at mainstream Fox. Mainstream Fox was fake news too. Now Newsmax is a little bit better, but they can't report as accurately as Gabriel Chana Fox News does. And I even read that there was their Greta Van Susteren, who I happen to like, by the way, that I don't think this was their fault. They might have been set up, but apparently she was trying to show the bombings that were happening in Russia, and they used video footage from America. And I think Lizzo was going to town with that, saying, see, even Newsmax isn't reliable. I personally think they may have been set up for that one. That Lizzo just did that so people wouldn't. migrate over to Newsmax after Tucker left mainstream, or after he got fired from mainstream Fox. Lizzo basically fired him. So yeah, I'm busy working. I'm very busy. I mean, yeah. And I use Linux Ubuntu for everything, so that kind of makes me busy too. But I have to, because the Jesuits have corrupted the Windows operating system. It's full of bugs. It has updates that can destroy your computer. So Zach and I put me on Linux Ubuntu several years ago. I'm getting really good with Linux Ubuntu, but it's kind of, there's, you know, it takes a little bit more time to work with it, like when I use video editors and stuff, because you pretty much have to do a lot of the work that the really easy video editors do for you. You know, like like Windows compatible video editors. So it takes a little bit more time, but I'm getting really good at it, okay? Yeah. When you go to my website, what I've done with Tucker Carlson is I have RSS feeds for my favorite news sources online, and I put that under Gabriel Chana Fox News. You can also get Gabriel Chana Fox News there. You can get the RSS feeds for various sites where I like to get different perspectives, aware that they cannot report the total truth, like Gabriel Chana Fox News. But for Tucker Carlson, I couldn't really make an RSS feed off of his Twitter. I tried. So what I'm going to be doing is I've made an RSS feed off of my BitChute channel, which also contains all of my public YouTube videos. What I'm going to do is every time Tucker posts a video at Twitter, or wherever he might migrate to somewhere else later, I'm going to download that video, put it at my BitChute. So I have an RSS feed for my BitChute channel, and that's going to be on all of the news section, because Tucker is in my news section. I've been following him for years, even before he turned Republican. He was actually a Democrat about 4 years ago. And you can follow him through my website, or you can just go straight to his Twitter. Yeah. So basically, my favorite news people to follow, like I like listening to Kim Iverson, I like Jimmy Dore. Yeah, I told you, I'm my own person. I listen to different sources. And yeah, I like Bill O'Reilly's there. Tucker Carlson, I've been following him for years. The Hill, I like to read what they have to say. And none of them, you know, is as accurate as Gabriel Chana Fox News, but I liked, since I'm unable to get it because my men need to protect me, I will have RSS feeds to them at my website. And then if I think something's really important, I will create a post about it to let the world get the true news. And then I'll have links where they can get more information. And then, of course, you can also go straight to Gabriel Chana Fox News. From what I understand, all of the really popular broadcasters at mainstream Fox have migrated over to Gabriel Chana Fox News, like Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Mark Levin. I can't remember all their names. She's giving me amnesia. But basically the ones that were really popular. Basically, mainstream Fox, in their attempts to be Lizzo woke, are going down, okay? Yeah. It appears to me the only way the Lizzo Jesuits can fund themselves now is through criminal work. They have to steal the money. Yeah. Because, frankly, her art stinks. Anyone who works for her is not a true journalist or true. They're all criminals. And like people are seeing through her charade, and they're not interested in hearing the opinion of a criminal. Okay? So everybody's going to Gabriel Chana Fox News. That is becoming the biggest news station in the world. And my website is also a place where you can watch. We have our own search engine too. You go to my website and you say, where did you learn how to do all this? I started my own website in 2010, and I pretty much learned on my own. I even learned a little bit of HTML, and I use that a lot. Yeah, so Yeah, I've got really good at it. So I'm very busy though. Yeah. And I can pretty much embed videos from just about any site at my website. Zach did a really good job setting that up. And so I am not dependent on YouTube or Vimeo or any of these, of the big video providers to get the news out. I can embed something from other sites that are not considered mainstream. And now what's getting to the point, see, because Lizzo has taken over the news and we're not getting the real news anymore through the so-called big news organizations, people are now going to alternative sites. The problem with going to the alternative sites is they don't have the infrastructure like the bigger sites do, okay? Because they don't have the, and so we have to be really creative and resourceful to be able to get the news out like the bigger sites do. But Gabriel Chon of Fox News does have the infrastructure. The problem is, though, is that Lizzo still has control over a lot of the internet, okay? And even though we took over Google and even though my website is also a search engine, yeah, yeah, we have our own Gabriel Chon search engine. We've had to kind of it's kind of like building your own house from the bottom up, okay? That's what we've had to do. And we are building it up and creating alternative sites, but because the infrastructure is not as big as with the main sites, you're not going to get all the fancy jazzy stuff like you would at some of these other sites. However, people actually are at the point now where they don't care. They just want to get the truth, okay? And even if things look a little tacky and it doesn't quite look professional, people don't care. They want the truth, okay? They want real. And it's kind of like my writing, you know? Like I'm working for, I've got a really good setup here where I live. I live in a studio apartment and I don't have room for a lot of books. Now, imagine a writer without a lot of books. I used to have, when I worked on Silver Skies, I had 3 bookshelves from the roof down to the ceiling, took up a whole wall of books. You could tell I'm a writer, right? You say, what happened? Well, when I moved from Seattle to Florida, I couldn't afford to move my stuff. And Vladimir Putin was actually in my life at the time. So he managed to get all my life, everything that I couldn't move from Seattle, he hid it in a bunker in Russia. And you know what happened? The Jesuits found out about it and they nuked the bunker. So I lost all my books and everything. I was able to rebuy most of them in the early 21st century. And I got pretty much the important ones, but I did lose a lot of stuff, including a lot of stuff that had sentimental value. And I've also bought some, but I remember which writing books helped me the most when I worked on Silver Skies, and I have them all back, okay? I rebought them when I was working at Walmart, and I was able to afford to order them online and everything. And then I even bought some new books. Now, here's something new that I've discovered, a way to make use of a small space. And as a writer, you need a lot of books. I have a Kindle. And now, because I don't have space to buy books, I don't have space here in this apartment, I just buy the Kindle version and read them all on my Kindle. I've got right now about 50 books on my Kindle. I just finished reading one on voice, and it really gave me some really good ideas about how to do voice in my writing. And so, yeah, that's how you live. If you live in a studio apartment, by all means, get something. If you don't have a Kindle, get a Nook, but get something like that, because and reading from the Kindle is very nice. It's lightweight. I can lay on my bed, relax. And by the way, as soon as I get on the bed, my husband Brent is always in the mood. So he's getting a lot more of it. I may be asexual leaning, but I have a real connection with my husband. So when I get on that bed, My intention when I get in there, because I'm asexual leaning, is to work on my writing, but he starts humping on me, and after a while thinking, boy, he is so turned on. I think, let's just take a break from my writing. He's getting plenty because I'm working on my writing, because I always read books. I read books to give myself inspiration, ideas for my writing. And I just finished reading Voice. I have other books that I'm going to be reading. So I read to get in. Reading is relaxing for me, and then it kind of gives me ideas for my writing. And I've got like 50 books on my Kindle. Do you think I'd have space in this apartment for 50 more books? I do not. And I have plenty of books on my bookshelf as it is. So, and another thing that I found that I can do, I used to have, another thing us writers like to do is watch movies. Yeah, that's right. Especially because I started off kind of like a screenwriter. And so I got to have my movies. So I watch them for inspiration. Like I've got, so what do you said, I had a huge movie collection in Florida before I moved up here. I had them on DVDs. Jesus told me get rid of all of them, give them away, or get rid of them because you don't have space in your apartment for them. He said you can download all those movies and put them on your computer. And guess what? That's exactly what I've done. They are, yeah, most of the movies that I have them all on my computer now. Yeah. And I actually can watch them from my monitor on the computer. And since I only have a teeny weeny television set anyway, and my monitor is about the same size as my computer, what difference does it make? And I've been getting them in high quality. I even found, basically, I have totally replenished my entire movie collection, the movies that Jesus made me give away. And this is how I'm living in a small space, okay? Because I don't have room for all those DVDs here. So it's working out great. They're all on my computer. This Linux Ubuntu is great. I love it. When I had Windows in Florida, they tricked me into upgrading, and then the updates had malware in them. And they were causing my computer to crash. And it got to the point where they destroyed my computer, the Windows updates. The Jesuits did this. So Zach put me on Linux Ubuntu. And Linux Ubuntu has been working a lot better for me. Yeah, I can tell Lizzo's trying to get in there and cause problems, but it's a lot harder for her to do it with Linux Ubuntu. Yeah, I would recommend, if you use the computer a lot like I do, you may want to get on Linux Ubuntu. Yeah. It takes a while to get used to it and learn how to use it, and you have to learn how to use the command prompt. But you can learn. Anyways, I do have to make my video, so I wanted to let you know I am still working on Gail the Complete series. It's going to take me a while because I'm more interested in quality over quantity. But I am committed to working on it a little bit every day. I figure Rome wasn't built in a day. So basically with Gail the Complete series, I've done the outline for the whole arc, okay? I know the beginning and the end. I had to do that so that I know which short stories to include in it. So I've done the whole arc, okay? I basically used the Save the Cat plot points to do the whole arc. This way I know which stories need to be included and what kind of arc or focus needs to be for each one. I know the angle, okay? You say this is nonfiction. It doesn't matter. Even when you write nonfiction, you have to use a lot of novel writing techniques if it's going to be something like a memoir, which is kind of like what this is. So yeah, even nonfiction memoir is more interesting if you've got surprises in there, you have conflict, you know, like people don't want to hear about what it was like for you to go to the grocery store every day, you know, unless something unusual happened at the grocery store. I mean, you know, it's got to be something that is about your life that fits in with the overall arc of your story, the angle of your story. So the angle of my story, of my life story, is that me and my men have been victims of a major conspiracy. that basically is trying to take over the whole planet. And that the head of this conspiracy is Satan himself. Now, we didn't know this right away. But now if I stick to that angle and make sure to only include the stories related to that angle, my life story is going to be very interesting. In fact, I hear that Buddha has given a future version of my book to Brent, because Buddha says I'm going to finish it. The first book in the series, and I don't know if this is true or not, but if it is, it'll be mentioned at Gabriel Tana Fox News 00 on cable. And apparently he felt like it needed to go out now. And one of the big five, a big New York publisher, has already got it. And I think it's already hit the bookshelves. I'm not sure. I already told you I'm not going to be self-publishing on this one. I do better work when I treat my writing as if it's going to a traditional publisher, like one of the big ones. So from what I understand, we got a big publisher on this. Big publisher. And I've already won a Nobel Prize. Yeah. And so what the big publisher's doing is, like, on the back, the blurb on the back of the book, they're saying Nobel Prize winner. Yeah. That's what I'm hearing. Now, it may not be true, but then I've won so many Nobel Prizes, it's like they're like water on a duck's back for me right now. I'm not doing it for that. I'm just basically writing what I would like to read. I am a very picky reader, by the way. So I do have an angle for my story, and I'm making sure that I stick to that so that the storytelling is focused, interesting, and I like to have surprises. Yeah. To me, I'm serious. To me, the 3-week rape in September 1992 is boring. I mean, I'm just not into sex and violence in something that I read. Like, I've never been into Stephen King. But I've thought of ways, however, I am deeply interested in what makes someone a superhero. So my angle in presenting the rape is to explore why it was that Brent would eventually become a superhero as a result of the devastation he suffered in September 1992 because of that rape. And now that, to me, is interesting. So that is the angle that I'm taking when I write about that. Okay? So yeah, I'm putting a lot of thought into how to tell my story, looking into my heart and thinking, okay, you only want to tell the events in your life that made you who you are, made Brent who he is. So I open up the story of my life with me in a dysfunctional marriage and very codependent, okay? Married to an abusive husband. And I'm going to end it with me being a lot stronger and no longer a codependent. And then so the arc or the angle is what happened to me and Brent, to me, that caused me to grow from a codependent, insecure woman, but somebody who had a big heart, into the woman that I am today. And how did I manage to get all of these important men in my life? And so that's kind of like the angle, okay? Yeah. So anyways, I do need to make a YouTube video, so that's why I'm making this. Go to my website to get the real news. I will be, if you look up at the top where it says Gabriel Tana Fox News, where it says Tucker Carlson, I will be creating an RSS feed where every time he posts something, I will post that at BitChute. You will also see some of my YouTube videos there as well. You can also go to my website to get the latest real news, because everything else is fake. From what I understand, Gabriel Tana Fox News is the biggest news network in the world right now. People are pretty much ignoring the other ones. They're tired of being lied to and gaslighted. They are going now to Gabriel Tana Fox News to get the real news, because people are just tired of being gaslighted. Yep. Anyways, I hope you all are doing well. I'm very busy, but at least I'm able to, I have the health and the means to do what's important, to write my life story, to maintain my website and get the news out. So I am doing my job as press secretary, webmaster, writer, and Brent Spiner's wife. Very busy, but feeling like I'm doing something that really matters, and that's important to me. Oh, here we are.